Hello and welcome to Monday's Yoga Club. As always, your practice is at your own risk, so do pay attention to how you're feeling, particularly if you've had an active weekend. Making sure you sort of tune into your body and how it feels, not taking anything too far, and being prepared to take the lighter options, which might even include resting a posture out. We're going to start standing today. So if you want to bring yourself to standing, making sure you've got a little bit of room in front of you so that you can step forward. As always, we start the class with dynamic stretching, so some movements that allow us to warm up, and these dynamic stretches are ideal things to do before you go out running or riding to be a bit of a warm-up. So I'll just demonstrate what we're going to do and then you can follow along. So what we'll be doing is we'll be lifting an ankle up and taking a hold, a little quad stretch. We'll release that, step forward, and then we'll pick the other ankle up, taking the knee outside, drawing the ankle upwards. We'll release that, step backwards, and then repeat with the quad stretch. So, hands relaxing. When you're ready, picking up your left foot, taking hold of the ankle, a little quad stretch there. Releasing, step forward. As you step forward, picking up your right ankle, taking a hold, drawing it upwards, and then releasing, stepping back, and repeating. So keep that going in your own time. So start fairly casually as you warm up, but as you get warmer, you can maybe deepen that quad stretch, drawing your heel closer into your buttock and pulling your ankle more firmly when you take the Piriformis stretch. So nice balance as well here. And then just take one more cycle of that and we'll swap over to the other side. And bringing that to a hold. So feet hip distance, hands relaxing by your side. And when you're ready, picking up your right ankle, taking the quad stretch on the right side, release, step forward, then picking up your ankle, drawing it up as you press your knee down, releasing, stepping backwards, taking the quad stretch. And then just keeping that going in your own time. As I said, an ideal thing to do before running or riding. Then taking one more full cycle. And releasing. Maybe having a bit of a shake. And then coming up to the front of your mat, ready for 2 rounds of sun salutations. So with your feet together, feet pressed down into the ground. So you're trying to leave a firm footprint in your mat. The crown of your head lifts up to your ceiling or the sky, shoulders back and down, chest tilts up. We'll take 2 breaths before we begin. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, bringing your palms together at the center of your chest. Lift your elbows, take them back a little, hands are pressing firmly together. Reach and stretch your arms up, look between your hands, lift your arms higher and take your arms and armpits back. From your hips, stretch forward. Keep your arms straight and lifted for as long as you can, but as soon as you need to, relax your upper body down, bend your knees so your fingertips touch the mat, let your neck muscles relax. Taking your right leg all the way back. Once it's back, let your gaze lift. Keep your right leg active, so your right heel presses away, your knees lifting. Your hips are both evenly relaxing down towards the ground. Take your left foot back, come into down face dog. So hips lift as high as you can. Hands press firmly down, heels press firmly down. Neck relaxes, so you'll be looking towards your toes. Come forward to plank, shoulders over your wrists. Again, keep yourself active as you are in your plank. Your knees are lifting, your heels pressing away, navel towards your spine, shoulders relaxing down your back. Lower your knees, bring your chest down to the mat, make contact with your chin, or if you can reach your forehead, press your face and chest forward as you lift your face and chest, elbows coming close, easing back to the wall behind you, chest heading forwards. Toes tuck under and hips lift. You could take them back to your heels first, or straight up towards the ceiling, back to down face dog. Hands pushing down, heels pressing down, hips lifting on high. We'll take our calf stretches here, so bending your right knee. As you next exhale, press your left heel firmly to the mat, stretching your left calf. As you next inhale, swap that over, so now you're bending your left knee, and as you exhale, right heel firmly to the mat. Inhale to swap again, exhale, left heel to the mat. Inhale, swap again, exhale, right heel to the mat. One more of each, inhale, swap, exhale, left heel down, pressing your hands forward as you do that. Inhaling, swap, exhale, right heel down. Then left heel down to join the right. Lift your hips, press your hands forward, looking between your hands, bring your right foot through. Find to give your foot a hand with your right hand, letting your hips relax, keeping your left knee lifted. Bringing your left foot through, a relaxing forward fold here, neck muscles relax, looking towards your knees. Then reach your arms up and forward, they will bring you up to the ceiling, looking up between your hands, armpits to the ceiling, and hands come down. Inhale, exhale, palms press firmly together. Reaching and stretching your arms up, and then taking your arms and armpits back, tilting your top of your chest to the ceiling. From your hips, stretch forward and all the way down, fingertips coming into line with your toes. Left leg all the way back. Lift your gaze, hips relaxing down, left knee lifting, left heel pressing away. Right foot back, down face dog, heels down, hands press down and forward, hips lift on high, guiding your chest back towards your knees. Come forward to plank, look between your hands in your plank, shoulder blades relaxing down your back. If you're feeling strong, you can take your elbows back and come down in one straight line, or knees then chest. Lift your face and lift your chest, shoulder blades head back, elbows in close. Tucking your toes under, hips lift to down face dog, hands press down and forward, hips lift on high, heels press to the mat. As your hands press down into the mat, they could push forward, allowing your armpits to head down to the mat, your chest towards your knees. Pressing the backs of your thighs towards the wall that's behind you, as if you're just trying to take them into the space that's behind them. Look between your hands, bring your left foot through, back to a lunge, lifting your gaze, relaxing your hips down to the mat. Right foot comes through, forward fold. This is a moment of rest and relaxation, albeit a brief one. Reaching forward and up with your arms, bringing your body up, looking between your hands, and hands come down. Inhale, exhale. So one more round. This time I will offer you a breath to go with each move. Shoulders relaxed, crown of your head lifts. Begin with a rest breath. Inhale, exhale, palms pressed together. Inhale, reaching and stretching up and back. Exhale, reach and stretch forward and down, fingertips coming into line with your toes. Inhale, right leg back. Lift your gaze. Exhale, left foot back. Down face dog, hips lift on high, hands push forward and down. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhaling, lower down. Knees then chest, all one straight line. Inhale as you press forward, lifting your face and lifting your chest. Exhale, toes tuck, hips lift on high, heels press down in down face dog. Inhale, right foot through between your hands, lift your gaze, hips relax there. Exhale, left foot through, forward fold. Inhale as you lead up with your arms, stretching and reaching up to the ceiling. Exhale, hands down. Inhale. Exhale, palms pressed together. Inhale, reaching, stretching up and back. Exhale, forward and down. Inhale, left leg back. Keep your left knee lifting as your hips relax. Exhale, right foot back. Now hips lift on high to the ceiling. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale as you lower with control. Inhale, pressing forward, lift your face and chest. Elbows heading back to the wall behind you. Exhale, toes tuck, hips lift on high, hands push forward and down. Inhale, left foot through between your hands, lifting your gaze. Exhale, right foot through, forward fold. Inhale, big movement, lifting and reaching up with your arms. Exhale, hands down. Taking your feet apart, facing your palms forward. We'll take 2 breaths here. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Wonderful, beautiful flowing sun salutations. From there, bring yourself to lying down, stretching out, coming into Shavasana. Unfortunately, not a beer Shavasana. Feet away out to the corners of the mat, hands by your side, a little bit away from your side, palms turned up, relaxing. And once you get there, just let everything go. Not only releasing after the sun salutations, but just letting everything and release and let go after your Monday. Today we're going to take Supta Matsyendrasana, the lying down twist. You might want to have a belt handy for when we straighten our leg and take a hamstring stretch, if you find that helps you to stretch your leg out. Setting up by bending your knees, bringing your feet in towards you, feet hip distance apart, stretching your arms out at shoulder height. Pressing your arms away, pushing your arms and shoulder blades firmly into the ground. Picking up your left foot, placing your left ankle on your right knee. Then pressing into your right foot to lift your hips, taking them 2 or 3 inches to the left hand side. Then with your arms pressing firmly to the ground, very slowly take both legs over to the right hand side. So take it slowly, so you just let the twist in your spine develop, aiming to get the sole of your left foot, the outside edge of your right foot onto the ground. If that doesn't happen straight away, then what you can just do is take your right knee down towards the bottom of your mat and your right foot towards the centre of your mat. That will allow your legs to land down. From there, take your right hand onto your left knee. Nice firm grip. Left shoulder blade presses down as you then ease your left knee towards the mat. And as you do that, you'll feel your hips rolling, so you're getting a deeper twist. But you're also getting an ITB stretch down the outside edge of the left leg. So you're bringing your knee as far as your left shoulder blade allows. And then you can start to use your breath. So as you inhale, you press your left shoulder blade down. As you exhale, you ease your knee a millimetre or 2 closer to the ground. Breath by breath, deepening the twist and the stretch on your ITB. Maybe just pressing the top of your left hip down towards the bottom of your mat. So you're slightly lengthening the left side of your body. Take one more breath. Have a final ease down of the knee to the ground. And take your gaze over to the right hand side. Straighten your left leg, that's your top leg, so you can see your toes. And then with your hand, have a reach and see if you can take a good firm grip underneath your leg. See where you can take your grip. If you're between your knee and your ankle, then it'll be fine to do it with your arm. If you're above your knee though, you might want to take a belt, loop it around your foot. In fact, let me do that. Take a belt, loop it around your foot, and then use your right hand to hold the belt. Wherever you are, let your foot come as low to the ground as your left shoulder blade allows. And then using your right hand, either holding the belt, or if your foot is on the ground, you could maybe hold your leg. Start to ease your leg up to the wall above your head. So really feeling the hamstring stretch develop, as well as the stretch you've got down the outside of the leg. Keep your left shoulder blade pressing down, having as much of your upper left-hand side of your back in contact with the ground as you can. Then use your next 2 or 3 out breaths. As you exhale, ease your knee a little higher to the wall above your head. Maybe pressing your left heel away to the right and your left hand away to the left. Rolling your left hip down towards the bottom of the mat. Have one more breath and a final stretch of that left leg. Then releasing the leg, bend your left knee so your knees come towards each other, and then bring both knees up towards the ceiling. Have a reset there. Your hips come back to the center, arms re-stretch out at shoulder height. Picking up your right foot, placing your right ankle on your left knee. Moving your hips 2 or 3 inches to the right. And then with your arms pressing firmly down, start slowly to take both legs over to the left hand side. Again, aiming to land the outer edge of your left leg, the sole of your right foot. But if that doesn't happen, you can take your left knee down towards the bottom of your mat, your left foot towards the center of the mat. Taking your left hand onto your right knee and easing it down towards the ground. Taking it as low as your right shoulder blade allows. As soon as your right shoulder blade lifts off, ease back a little bit on the knee. And then using your breath, as you inhale, right shoulder blade and arm, press that down. And as you exhale, ease your right knee a little closer to the mat. You should just get an extra millimetre or 2 of twist with every breath. Maybe just rolling the top of your right hip down towards the bottom of the mat. Take one more breath, final press down of your knee to the ground. Turn your gaze to the left, straighten your right leg, take a hold of it from underneath. Or if you're above your knee, you might want to loop a belt around your foot. Bring your foot as close to the ground as your right shoulder blade allows and start guiding your leg up to the wall that's above your head. As you do that, pressing your right heel leftwards, right hand rightwards, rolling the top of your right hip down towards the bottom of the mat. And then using your next breath or 2, the exhale's the ideal chance to see if your leg can be persuaded closer to the wall above your head. Have one more breath, a final stretch of your right leg. And release. Bend your right knee, bring your knees towards each other and bring your knees up towards the ceiling. Bringing your knees then, both of them up onto your chest. Hug your arms around them and take a rock side to side. Bring that to a halt in the center. Lift your head towards your knees. Draw your knees down towards your chest. Stretching out. And release. Take your head back down. Land your feet back down. And then from there, bring yourself. No, actually, we're going to stay here. We're going to stay here. We don't need to bring ourselves up sitting. We're going to stay here. And we're going to take Jathara Parsvartanasana, which is the churning the stomach. So this is to work our core. It's a twist as well. And generally when we take this, a limiting factor will be how much our spine is able to twist left and right. But we've already warmed up the spine. So now the limiting factor is more going to be your core strength and your ability to hold your legs and hover them just above the ground. So bring your knees up back onto your chest, hugging your knees in, drawing them as close to you as you can. As you do that, make sure your shoulders are relaxing. They will often ride up and hold a load of tension, so don't let them do that. Let them relax down towards the mat. Keep your knees in close as you release your hands and take them out to the side at shoulder height. Arms press firmly downwards, shoulder blades press firmly downwards. Draw your navel towards your spine so you are engaging and switching on your core. When you next exhale, then slowly take both knees to the right hand side, pressing your left arm and shoulder firmly into the ground, aiming to hover your legs just off the ground, bringing them as close to the ground as your core allows. When they're as close to the ground as you can bring them, draw the knees up towards your right elbow, keeping your left shoulder pressing down. Navel still drawing in towards your spine. Take one more breath here, drawing your knees in a little closer if you can. When you next inhale, bring your knees back to the center. Arms stretch out and press down, navel towards your spine. When you next exhale, slowly take both knees over to the left hand side. So feeling that twist in your spine. When you're hovering as low as your core allows you to, bring your knees up towards your left elbow. Really pressing your right shoulder blade down and trying to get as much contact with the upper right side of your back against the ground as you can. Take one more breath, a final draw up of your knees to your elbow. When you next inhale, bring your knees back to the center and lower your feet to the mat. Take a breath or two there. Make the nice deep abdominal breaths. So send the expansion of the inhale down into your core. We're going to take that movement with the breath, so making it a little bit more dynamic. If you want to strengthen this, you can have your legs straight, or you can do it as we've just done it with the knees bent. So with your arms outstretched, shoulder blades pressing into the ground, arms pressing into the ground, lift your knees back up onto your chest. And if you want to try this with straight legs, you could straighten your legs now. Navel draws towards your spine. And when you next exhale, take both legs slowly over to the right side with control. Drawing your toes up to your hands if your legs are straight, knees to your elbow if they're bent. As you next inhale, bring your legs back up to the center. And as you next exhale, take them over to the left, keeping your navel drawing towards your spine, right shoulder pressing firmly down. Inhaling, bring them back to the center, and then keep that going with your breath. Every time you exhale, take them down to the side. Every time you inhale, bring them back to the center. You've got about 3 more after this to do. So you can pace whether you keep your legs straight or have your knees bent. Don't allow having your legs straight to mean that you lose control. Keeping your navel drawing down towards your spine. As your knees or legs are at one side, then have your knees or legs heading up to your hand or elbow. And when your legs are down at one side, firmly press the other arm and shoulder blade down. So if you've got them, finish this round, making sure that you end up coming up from the left hand side. And then landing your feet down. Stretching your legs out, hands by your side, palms turned up, allowing yourself some nice, deep, luxurious abdominal breaths to stretch out your core muscles. From here we're going to take fish pose, so that's Matsyasana. Bend your knees, bringing your feet in towards you. You can then lift your hips, and with your hips lifted, place your hands palm down with your thumbs touching underneath you. Once they're underneath you, press them down towards your feet so your elbows come in as close as you can bring them, and then lower your hips so that you are literally sitting on your hands. Stretching your legs out. And then we'll start this movement by pressing your shoulders to the ground. So as you press your shoulders down, you might find the center of your back between your shoulder blades starts to lift a little. Maybe seeing if you can bring your shoulder blades underneath you towards each other as you lift that point in the middle of your shoulder blades a little more towards the ceiling. So this starts the lift of your chest. The next step is then to start focusing on the lower arm. So starting to press your elbow into the ground, pressing your hips into your hands as you lift your upper back away from the ground. So your upper back starts to lift, your head lifts with it, lifting as high as you can, pressing into your elbows. And then once you come as high as you can, let your head rest back towards the ground. You might find you can get the crown of your head pointing down, or the back of your head, and then just lower down slightly so that the back of your head comes into contact with the ground. Once you're there, noticing you're getting a fantastic stretch in your throat and neck, keep your weight in your elbows. Your elbows are pressing down as you lift the center of your shoulder blades away from the ground, the center of your chest towards the ceiling. Keeping your breath steady for another good breath. Lifting a little higher if you can. Then to come out, put some pressure down into your elbows so you can lift your head, tilting your chin down towards your chest, and then lowering yourself back down towards the ground. Releasing your hands, maybe taking a turn or two at your wrists to give your wrist release after sitting on them. Then bringing your feet together, take your hands above your head. If it's comfortable, interlace your fingers, pointing your palms backwards. If your shoulders aren't keen though, keep your hands separate. Press your toes in one direction, press your hands in the other direction, so you're stretching out long. And then when you think you're stretching out as long as you can, see if you can stretch out just a little bit longer. Releasing that stretch, bringing your hands by your side, and coming up to sitting. And then from sitting up to standing. So we're going to take some postures to give us a stretch of the hips. And we're going to start with a stretch that will stretch the hips and give us a little bit of an Achilles stretch as well. I'm going to go headless for a moment because we're actually going to be coming down very, very quickly. So with your feet at hip distance apart, and then just turning your toes out slightly, so your toes are pointing a little bit diagonally. From there, starting to come to sitting down, letting your heels lift, so you're coming down into a bit of a squat. And then from that squat, bringing your hands down onto the ground in front of you. And just taking your elbows out into your knees a little to give you an initial stretch at your hips. But the real thing we want to do here is then firmly press your heels down so that you're getting a stretch at your Achilles. So easing your knees out, pressing your heels down. Achilles are hard things to stretch, and it's quite hard to feel the stretch in them. But seeing if you can just bring your bum closer to your heels, pressing your heels more firmly down, pressing your knees out a little more. Just looking a little bit in front of your hands. And then from here, just releasing that outward pressure of your elbow against your knees, taking your hands behind you and sitting yourself down. Once you're sitting down, stretching your legs out. And then reaching down, finding your right foot and bringing your right foot in really close. And reaching down, finding your left foot and bringing your left foot in really close. Soles of your feet come together, and then I can see people are shimmying and shuffling. Do have a good shimmy and shuffle. Take a firm grip of your feet so your hands interlace and you get a really good grip around your toes. Bringing your toes in towards you, or bringing your whole feet in towards you actually. Again, you might just have another little shuffle there. And then take a bit of a butterfly with your knees. Now, if you've been active this weekend, you might find this is stretching. And that's fine. If that's the case, just allow yourself to feel the stretch, but don't take it so far. And then bringing that butterfly into a halt, have a pull of your toes towards you so you can lift your chest, and then see if you can just pull on your feet to start to bring your body forward a little, allowing your elbows to press into the crease between your upper and lower leg. Now, as you do this, try to see if you can keep your upper body straight. Let me come sideways on, so that rather than rounding like that, you're keeping yourself lifted with your elbows pressing down. So that should now be giving you a really good stretch in your hips, taking that just as far as feels okay for your hips, depending on what you've been doing this weekend. Keeping that lift of your chest. And then just take 2 more breaths here. As you inhale, lift and straighten. And as you exhale, see if you can draw yourself forward a little more, pressing your elbows more firmly into your legs. Then as you next inhale, release. Bring your knees back together, stretch your legs out. Oh yes, I can certainly feel that. Maybe just allowing you a bit of a shake there as well. And then from there, we're going to come onto our fronts and do some back work. So come to lying on your front. Bring your hands underneath your forehead, one hand on top of the other. Rest your forehead onto your hands. And with your forehead resting and relaxing on your hands, take a rock of your hips. That will give you some release after the stretch we just took. So we'll start our back work with a Cobra. So bringing your rocking of your hips to a halt. Hands come underneath your shoulders. Hands in the shadow of your shoulders. Elbows will be lifted away from the ground if your arms are in the right place. Forehead rests on the ground. With your forehead resting on the ground, take your shoulders up towards the ceiling and then down towards your feet. And as you do that, you'll want to press your elbows down towards the ground. They won't touch the ground, but they come towards it. On your next inhale, then lift your face so you're looking directly forwards. And on your next inhale, lift your chest away from the ground. Your hands are just light on the ground. You could lift them if you wanted to, but keep them there lightly on the ground for balance. Elbows are in close by your side. Elbows head to the wall behind you, so your hands are drawing back against the mat, not moving against it. Chest eases forward. As you next exhale, lower your forehead back to the mat and take a breath. We'll do one more Cobra. So shoulders up and down towards your feet. Next inhale, lift your face and look forward. And then next inhale, lift your chest away from the mat, shoulder blades ease down your back, elbows in close. Keep your breath steady. Try to minimize the amount of tension you hold. It's impossible to do this without some tension. But keeping your breath steady will help. Take one more breath, lifting a little as you take the inhale. And as you exhale, lowering back down, bringing your hands underneath your forehead and resting your forehead onto your hands. So we'll move to the lower back. Keep your forehead on your hands, resting your upper body. So your upper body relaxes completely. As you let your upper body relax, you'll maybe feel your armpits come closer to the ground. Tucking your toes under, and with your toes tucked under, lift your knees away from the mat. And with your knees lifted, then lift and point your toes behind you. Stretch your toes behind so you're making your legs as long as you can. And then lift your legs up towards the ceiling, pressing your hip creases firmly down. So you want to have as little contact with your thighs and the ground as you can. Feet stretched away from you, legs lift up to the ceiling. Your upper body is as relaxed as you can make it. As you next exhale, lower your legs back down. Then coming back to the upper body, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, hands back in the shadow of your shoulders, ready for Cobra. Forehead rests on the mat. Lifting your shoulders up to the ceiling and down to your feet. On your next inhale, lifting your face and looking directly forwards. As you next inhale, peeling your chest away from the mat. Easing your chest forward as your elbows and shoulders head backwards. And then if you want to make this stronger, as you next inhale, you could put some pressure into your hands, allowing you to lift your chest higher, but only taking it as far as your lower back is comfortable to go, easing your chest forward, elbows and shoulders back. One more breath, one more lift. Exhale, lowering back down. Hands back underneath your forehead, resting your forehead on your hands. So we're going to take this into a variant of locust. Take your hands down by your side, palms turned up towards the ceiling, placing your forehead on the mat if you can reach. If that's not comfortable, you can place your chin on the ground. Tucking your toes under and lifting your knees. With your knees lifted, lift and point your toes behind you, stretching your legs long, lifting them gently to the ceiling. Then as you next inhale, lift your face and look forward. And as you next inhale, lift your chest away from the ground, lifting your arms up behind you. Pressing your hands back, pressing your toes back. So they're heading back to the wall behind. Lifting your shoulders a little more away from the ground. Stretching everything back and lifting your thighs, lifting your arms, lifting your chest to the ceiling. And as you next exhale, slowly lowering back down. Hands under your forehead, rest your forehead or a cheek onto your hands. So I've got one more. If you feel like your back has done enough, then hold here, or you could take a leg lift, or you could take a Cobra with your hands underneath your shoulders. But if you want to join me for the final push, then bring your hands down by your side, palms facing up, chin or forehead on the mat, tucking your toes under and lifting your knees. With your knees lifted, pointing your toes, stretching your legs long. As you next inhale, lifting your face to look forward. And as you next inhale, lifting your arms and lifting your chest, just gently at first. Pressing your hands back, pressing your toes back. Then keep your toes pressing back as you start to bring your arms out to the side, and then from out to the side, pressing forward with your palms turned down. Stretch your hands forward, stretch your toes back. And then if you want the final push, see if you can lift your chest and shoulder. See if you can peel your thighs more away from the mat. Stretch forward and back with hands and toes. One more breath, lifting if you can. As you exhale, lowering your legs, lowering your hands. Hands underneath your forehead, forehead or cheek onto your hands. Just being aware of your breath, telling you that you've just used a lot of muscles. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press into your hands to come up to hands and knees. And then we will cat-cow this out. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Tilt your tailbone up to the ceiling. Lift your head to look up towards the ceiling and let the back of your waist relax down towards your mat. When you exhale next, tuck your tailbone under, tuck your head under, allow your back to arch up towards the ceiling. Then take that with your breath. As you inhale, lift your tailbone and head, back of your waist heads down. And as you exhale, tuck your head and tailbone under, your back arches up. So just keep that going with your breath. Next time you're in cat with your back arching up, hold cat for a moment. Deepen the stretch by pressing your hands, knees and feet into the ground, letting your back lift a little higher and then release. Sit your hips back down to your heels, stretching your arms forward and bringing your forehead down to the mat. If your forehead doesn't easily touch the mat while your bum's close to your heels, you could put a block under your head, or you could make fists and place your head on one fist or two fists. Just take a moment to experience child's pose as you've come to it now, and then do make any adjustments that you'd like to make. So knees can be open or closed, your hands can be in front, they could be down by your feet, they could be one hand on top of the other on your lower back. Anything that gives you the chance to let go and rest. Every exhale, bringing your upper body closer to your legs and the mat, bringing your armpits closer to the ground. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press into your hands to lift yourself back up and stretch your legs out. Getting ready for a twist. So it's been quite a twisty class today. The twists we did were focused more on the lower body as we twisted our legs one way and the other. This twist will allow us to stretch the upper spine as we take the upper body and the neck around. So with your legs stretched out, bring your left foot in towards you and across the other leg. If that's not particularly comfortable, it's fine to keep your leg on that same side, just bringing it good and close. Both hands around that knee, drawing the knee to your chest and drawing your chest and abdomen towards that knee. Maybe even bringing them into contact if you can. Right toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Taking your left hand behind you, pressing your fingertips into the ground. Taking your right arm out to the side and then bring it back in so you get a really good grip around that leg. If you can get a grip with the whole arm, that's perfect. Then starting to take your chest around to the left. Taking your left shoulder back and taking your gaze over your left shoulder. If you've got a good grip on that leg, you can be drawing it in towards you, using it to help you then lift your chest up towards the leg, easing the leg to the right across you, giving you more of a stretch in your left piriformis. Take a couple of breaths there. As you inhale, press into your backhand, straightening up, and as you exhale, ease yourself further round to the right. Just noticing if you're getting some stretch in your left piriformis, so you'll feel it in your left glute. When you next exhale, release and relax, and then bring yourself round to the front. Stretch your left leg out and bring your right foot across. Draw your knee towards you, lift your chest towards your knee. Once you know you're sitting up straight, take your right hand behind you, pressing your fingertips into the ground to lift and straighten your spine. Taking your left arm out to the side and then bringing it in, hugging around that leg so that you can then start to take your chest around to the right. Take your right shoulder around with it. Take your gaze over your right shoulder with your chin level. And then you can use your breath. Each inhale, you press into your backhand and straighten. Every exhale, easing yourself a little further to the right, drawing that leg across to the left, helping you to stretch your right piriformis. When you next exhale, relax your body and come back around to the front, stretching your right leg out and taking a shake of your legs. Bringing yourself from there up to standing, ready for a couple of standing postures. So for our standing postures today, we're going to start with Warrior One. So I'm going to take my mat forward, and I think most of you are facing towards me, except for Lynn, Lynn can work it out. Let me just bring that up a little more. So if we all face that way, so to the left, to the right, in fact. And once you're facing that way, stretch your legs good and wide. Taking them as wide as you comfortably can, bringing your hands on your hips, turning your right foot in towards you, and then taking your left foot out to point forward towards me. Your hands can then guide your hips around, and you can help that happen by pressing firmly into your back foot. That will help you bring your right hip forward. Take your elbows back, lift your chest, let your shoulders relax down, and then as you next exhale, start to bend your left knee. Keep your torso upright as your hips lower, keeping your back foot pressing down. If you can, press all four corners of your back foot. So the big toe corner, the little toe corner, right heel, left heel. Then keep that back foot pressing down. Press firmly down into your left foot. See if you can just draw this thigh bone more firmly back into its socket. So you'll maybe just need to push your foot slightly forward. And then when your legs are strong, you can then lift your arms. So keeping both feet firmly into the ground, left hip drawing back a little, right hip drawing forward, and then we'll take 2 breaths here. As you inhale, stretch your hands higher. As you exhale, sink yourself lower. Inhaling, hands stretch higher. Exhaling, sinking lower. Hold there for a breath. Keep your back foot pressing firmly down. As you next inhale, lift yourself back up, turn your feet to the side, hands on hips, and then just heel toe your feet back together. Turning yourself around to the left hand side. Do anything you want to do on the way, and then take your legs good and wide again. Hands on hips, left foot turns in and your right foot turns out. So roughly your right heel should be in line with your left heel behind you. Bringing your hips around, pressing firmly down to all 4 corners of your back foot to help your left hip come forward. And with that strength in the back foot, lifting your chest, you can then slowly bend your right knee. Your hips lower, back foot stays firm into the ground. When you come as low as you can, just make sure your right ankle is in front of your left knee, and then press firmly down into your right foot, pushing it slightly forward to help you to bring your right hip back firmly into its socket. Then when you're ready, lift your arms up towards the ceiling. Keep that back foot pressing down as you next inhale and lift your arms, and exhale, sinking lower. Inhaling, lifting arms, exhale, sinking lower. Hold for one more breath, back foot pressing down, sinking if you can. When you next inhale, straighten your front leg, allowing you to come back up. Turn to the side, feet face forward, hands on hips, and then heel toe your legs back together. Wonderful. Turning back to the right and taking your legs wide once more. Not to your absolute maximum, but a reasonable distance. Hands on hips, right foot turns in and your left foot turns out. Bringing your hips back around to face the front. So this time we're going to keep our legs straight. So you want both legs pressing firmly into the ground, all four corners of both feet pressing against the mat. If you lifted them now, there'd be a footprint from both of them. Hips guide round so you are facing the front. And then taking your hands behind you, interlacing your hands if that's comfortable, although it's fine to keep your hands separate if interlaced isn't great for your shoulders. Taking your shoulders back as you lift your chest, pressing your hands down to the ground, and as you next exhale, lead forward with your chest. So your chest comes forward and then down. Come as far as you are able to. Once you come as far as you can, if you need to put a little bend in that left knee, which you would if you hyperextend or your knee's uncomfortable, please do. And then you can start to lift your hands up towards the ceiling. As your hands lift, you can let your chest relax down, let your head relax down. And then you could use your breath here, keeping both feet pressing firmly into the ground, so that as you inhale, you lift your arms to the ceiling. And as you exhale, you let your upper body relax down over your leg, giving you a good strength of stretch in your left hamstrings. So one more breath, a final lift of your arms and a relax of your body over your leg. Then make it a really big breath. As you next inhale, lift your head, lower your hands behind you, turning your feet to the side, hands on your hips and heel toeing your feet back together. Turning around once more to come to this side. Taking your legs wide but not to your maximum. Hands on hips. Left foot turns in and your right foot turns out. Hips guided back around to face the front. All four corners of both feet press firmly into the ground. Left hip forward, right hip back. Taking your hands behind you, interlacing your hands if that's comfortable. Fine to have them separate. Take your shoulders back, press your hands down towards the ground, lift your chest. And when you next exhale, lead forward with your chest. So come forward for as long as you can, arcing it down over your leg. When you've come as far as you can, do put a little bend in that right knee if you need to. Lift your arms up towards the ceiling and let your head relax down to the ground. Let your chest relax down over your leg. So it should feel as if the crown of your head is pointing down. And then using your next 2 or 3 breaths. As you inhale, lift your straight arms up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, relax your upper body over your front leg, keeping both feet pressing down evenly into the mat. Take one more breath. Final lift of the arms, a final relax over your leg. When you next breathe in, make it big, lifting your head, lowering your arms, coming back up, turning to the side, hands on hips, heel toeing your feet back together. And then doing whatever feels right for you. Maybe a bit of that with your legs. You might want to get some release going of your shoulders. 2 strong standing postures. So that stretch is a really ideal one to do if you're outside and want to get a good stretch of your hamstrings. It really allows you to stretch your hamstrings and at the same time release your shoulders, which you could well want to do after you've been running or riding, but when you can't get onto the ground. So I think we're going to finish here and have a good relaxation. We've worked hard. So when you're ready, actually before we do that, let's just take a quick forward fold and then we'll come to the final relaxation. So hands on hips, feet hip distance apart. Take your shoulders back, lifting your chest. And as you next exhale, start leading forward with your chest. Come as far as you can, but then I want you to bend your knees. And with your knees bent, take your hands off your hips. Let your hands release down to the ground, taking a hold of the opposite elbow with the opposite hand, letting your neck muscles relax so your head hangs heavy. We've already stretched the hamstrings, so you don't need to straighten your legs now. This is all about releasing the back. So just allowing gravity to bring your head, shoulders and arms down towards the ground. With every out breath, let yourself release closer to your mat. One more breath. Final relax down on the exhale. Release your hands. Tuck your tailbone under. That will require you to bend your knees a little deeper. And then slowly start to uncurl up. Your head will be the last thing to lift. Once your head has lifted, there's no rush if you're not there yet. Take a roll back of your shoulders. And then from there, bring yourself to lying down, ready for final relaxation. Do feel free to have something behind your head, to put on any additional clothing if it will allow you to be more comfortable. If you had one, a cushion behind your knees can be quite nice. Any discomfort in your lower back, do take a bend of your knees. And then with your feet out to the corners of your mat, hands away from your body, palms turned up. Making sure you've got a good length in your neck. So you might just want to lift your head away from the mat, tilt your chin down to your chest, and then place your head back down. And then once you've done that, just do anything that you need to then make it comfortable. Here then, take 3 good breaths. So a nice long inhale. And when you exhale, just release and let go. You might even have an audible out breath. And then there's nothing you need to do for the next 2 or 3 minutes. You just have to relax, allowing your body to quietly get on with benefiting from everything you've done in class today. And keep your body still for another moment as you gently bring your awareness and attention back. Maybe just feeling the air on your skin, noticing the temperature of the air. And bring some movement back. Wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes. Bring your legs together. Send your arms up above your head. Just gently stretching, so toes press forward as your hands reach back. Release. Bring your hands over. Bend your knees. Bring one knee, then the other onto your chest. Hugging your knees in, taking a rock side to side. And bring that rocking to a halt as you lift your head to your knees and then draw your knees to your chest. Release. Take your feet down, land your head down, and from there, maybe coming via the right hand side for a breath or two, and slowly return yourself to sitting. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you all for joining me. Nice to see you, Holly. Nice to have someone new in the class. Namaste. Thank you.